Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending this session. You guys have a lot of choices and sessions, and we really appreciate you coming by to hear our session this morning. So my name is Scott McMullan. I'm the Google Apps Partner Lead with the Google Enterprise Group. I work with the Marketplace team as well. And today we're going to be talking about the Google Apps Marketplace. And this is going to be a fairly high-level session. We're not going to go into a lot of technical depth, but it's designed to give you an overview of how the Marketplace works, some of the motivations of why we built it, and most importantly, hear from a few folks on the Marketplace who are launch partners and hear from how they're doing, get some tips from them, and really get the kind of the word in the street. So I've got Amit Kulkarni, CEO of Manymoon with me, Chuck Dietrich, CEO of Sliderocket, and Jay Simmons, VP of Marketing at Atlassian. So now that we've got our Wi-Fi set up and we can actually run all this stuff from the cloud, quick housekeeping, bit.ly/sell with Marketplace. This is our Google Way for this session. This is where we ask you to ask questions, and we'll take these at the very end. Okay, so the Google Apps Marketplace. Before we get into that, let's do a quick level set on Google Apps. This is definitely a source of confusion for a lot of folks. Google Apps is our hosted messaging and collaboration suite designed for businesses and organizations of all sizes. So it includes a suite of applications, most of which hopefully you've heard of. So Gmail, Calendar, Talk, Google Sites, Google Groups, Google Docs, which includes spreadsheets and documents. All these things in a suite designed for organizations of all sizes. We work with small, medium, and large businesses, as well as nonprofits and EDUs. So there are two ways to get this. If you are an EDU, or if you're a smaller company under 50 users, you can use our free edition, our standard edition. Or if you're a business or fall outside of that organization class, you can use our premier edition. It's $50 a user a year product. And we're super gratified to see in the last 3 years what the customers and what the users out there have done with this product. We've got over 25 million active users to date. That's across 2 million businesses. And we've got more than 3,000 businesses signing up each day for this product. So we're very gratified. We think this is just the beginning of what we can do here. Quick note, the logos on this slide are bigger companies, Motorola, Vallejo, Konica Minolta. But for the purposes of today and the discussion about the Marketplace, you should be thinking more in terms of the SMBs, the SMB segment of our customer base. So why did we build the Marketplace? It's pretty simple. Customers want more apps. We've got our 7 or 8. They want to run more of their business in the cloud, and there's tons of great stuff out there. We want to make it really easy to work with the best web apps out in the ecosystem and make it very simple to bring those web applications into our customer base and give those easy access to our users. So simply put, the goal of the Marketplace is to make it easy for customers to add more great apps to their Google Apps suite. This is across all kinds of segments, all kinds of verticals, all kinds of use cases. It can be accounting, sales and marketing, productivity, workflow. It can be big suites. It can be small applications that do a very specific purpose. The goal here is to make it easy for you all to get access and to serve these customers as they grow. And we were really lucky. The Marketplace launched about 2 months ago at a Campfire One in Mountain View. We were really lucky to work with 50 great launch partners. You probably recognize some of the logos of the people that we launched with. The key point here, the thing I want you to take away, is that we've got everything from startups to public companies. And everything from, again, full suites, whether you're a developer suite or a suite for a business or on ERP or CRM, all the way down to smaller point products that accomplish a very specific task. So this is the type of opportunity and the type of company we're attracting to work with to bring to serve the Google Apps customer base. Okay, so that's very high level of a little bit of why we built it and some of the people who we launched with. Let me switch to a quick demo to show you the user experience, what it's like when we say make it easy for users and for customers to get more apps for Google Apps. So here's the Marketplace. We've got categories on the left, including product and professional services in the Marketplace can be found. We've got featured apps that rotate through in the center, a set of top apps on the right based on usage and ratings. And let's say today that I'm looking for a project management app for my organization. So I search on project management, get a list of users. Amit, congratulations, you're the top search result here. Let's take a look at Manymoon. Let's just dive into their listing. I can look at all the listings here. Let's pick Manymoon, take a quick look. Again, I can read about the application, I can get links to videos, I can read about ratings and reviews, about what the community thinks. And let's say based on this, I'm interested in acquiring this application and trying it out for my business. So here's where it all starts. It's basically the Add It Now button. I click Add It Now, and I'm going to enter in my Google Apps domain. In this case, it's my kind of friends and family ehic.com domain. Note this is a standard edition domain, so that, again, the marketplace is for all of our users, not just our Premier Edition users. So the first thing it's going to ask me to do is to sign in. Only admins can install applications from the marketplace today. So I'm going to log in as an admin. OK, I'm now in the control panel of my Google Apps for ehic.com. The first thing I get is the terms of service. These are Manymoon's terms of service. So I review these, send these off to all my lawyers. Everything's cool. I'm going to hit agree. I agree and continue. Step 2, grant access. So I'm installing this application, and Manymoon is a web application who wants to integrate in with Google Apps. They want to do a lot of, provide a lot of valuable features to let me use my calendars, my documents, et cetera, in the context of project management. So they're requesting here different APIs that they want to have access to. I can review them. And you can see that they've got quite a few. They're a pretty deeply integrated product. Once I agree and think I trust these guys, which I do, I'm going to grant my data access and then enable the application. So I've now just taken the Manymoon product and added it to the Google Apps Suite. If you click over here on the dashboard, you see that in addition to the applications from Google, I now have the Manymoon icon here, and I can do some basic administration here, as well as link off to their site. So that's the admin experience. That's browsing, essentially buying. In this case, it's a freemium product, so they'll charge me later, and installing the application. Let's take a look at what the user would see. So Amit will go into more detail here, but this is the canonical integration that all marketplace apps have, which is the single sign-on from our universal navigation. So up here in the very left, I'm in my Gmail account for my ehic.com domain, and I can easily go to my Google Calendar, and it will open up a new tab. But in this case, I want to go to Manymoon. So I go to the More menu. I see that Manymoon is now available to my end users. I click on that, and I'm in. No passwords, nothing to set up, no account. Essentially, the suite has been expanded to include Manymoon, and now I can just start using this application as an end user. So that is the quick high-level tour. How does this work? As a developer, how do you go about getting your application in the marketplace? How much effort is required, et cetera? So the first thing is you got to build your application. You'll notice that 50 launch partners, I think the majority of those were existing applications. So you can take an existing app, you can build a new app. There are no platform requirements or hosting requirements. This is not about App Engine or anything else. Even though we love App Engine, this is about web applications. So you take your web application, you bring it to us, and you start to integrate it. Very quickly, there are a number of talks later on today and tomorrow about deep integration that go into the mechanics of how this works. But at a high level, the first thing to do, again, is to use OpenID to enable a single sign-on experience. That's what all applications must do to get in the marketplace. Beyond that, we have over a dozen integration points and APIs. Again, things like Calendar and Contacts and Docs. Just yesterday, we released Gmail contextual gadgets, which allow you to bring your application right into the viewer of Gmail. So a bunch of ways you can integrate. That's all optional. And then the last thing and the most important part, this is a marketplace, so selling. Again, over 2 million businesses, over 25 million users, and a growing group of resellers. We've got over 1,000 resellers worldwide and growing. And they're increasingly interested in working with marketplace apps and ISVs to build and pull together broader solutions for customers. So that's the second part of the opportunity here. And for this, what do we ask? We ask for 2 things. A one-time fee of $100 that allows you to list 1 or more applications in the marketplace. And then if you sell your app, if it's not a free app, if you sell your app, we ask for a 20% share of revenue on new customers that you acquire through the marketplace. So you can bring your old customers and they can all get these integrations. But for new customers who come in and discover and purchase through the marketplace, we ask for a 20% rev share recurring. Quick note, we're not doing rev share right now. We'll be rolling this out later on, the second half of this year, when we introduce our Google Checkout marketplace billing APIs, which will be required to continue in the marketplace. Okay, so moving quickly here, how does this work? Build, integrate, list, and sell. These are the 3 steps. So we know the build step you guys do, integrate. 2 applications in the web, they want to work together, they want to form a virtual suite. You know that Google certainly launched these applications one by one. Gmail was the first, Docs came later. These are web applications that are working together as one, so the integration step is very important. And what we do here is have a simple XML file that you use to describe all the different integration points that your application has, both at the business level, like what's your terms of service, what are your policies, what are your privacy policies, you put those links in here, as well as the APIs you need access to. So if you need to have access to a user's calendar, you can request that in this manifest file. You package all this stuff up, and this describes the entire integration. So how do you actually get in the marketplace to start working? 2 forms to fill out, essentially. The first is to become a vendor. I think it's 8 fields, logo, company name, address. You get your vendor account. That's obviously free. And then you click a button to create a listing. This listing is the majority of this listing is marketing, right? We're basically merchandising your application. So benefits and name and category and things like that. But in order to get the magic to work around adding it now and the provisioning of this so you can facilitate buying, in the lower left here is this manifest field. This is where you'd paste this XML file that describes the integration. And what that allows us to do is then render your page not only with your marketing copy, but the add it now flow that will all just kind of work as I showed with installing Manymoon. Okay, so you've got your listing. You're in, you've tested it, and now, of course, let's launch. Let's get out there in front of customers. This is where the real fun begins. One thing I just wanted to highlight here is to not skip your launch marketing. If you do choose to work with us, we've only been out there 2 months, so we don't have a lot of history here. But we definitely have noticed some folks have skipped this step, and I think it's a missed opportunity. So, high-quality listing pages, high-quality landing pages on your site. Again, you're essentially selling into an audience that is a Google Apps user base. These 25 million users, they have a certain mental model about what they expect, and so communicating to them in that language is important to getting their attention. And certainly blogging and tweeting and doing PR and press outreach are all things that you should be considering on the launch. So post-launch, you're out there and you start to see some interest, some page views, some orders come in. What does that customer acquisition lifecycle look like? So it's a funnel, just like what you're doing today, and no surprise. We're driving traffic to the marketplace, so you've got listing page views. You're hopefully driving traffic there as well. We have an add it now call to action to get people to adopt. Now they may be in trial mode, they may be in buy mode, it depends on what your application is. But the goal here, of course, is to drive app usage within the domain, because again, you're not just selling to the administrator, you're selling to potentially 10, 20, 50, 100, 1,000, however big the company is. You have a bunch of users potentially of your product. So there are a bunch of tricks, and not tricks, but there are a bunch of basically techniques for making sure that the admin can communicate out the message. That's important things to think about as you drive users to use your product and try to convert them to paid usage. And so along that line, we get a lot of, probably the first question I always get after I describe how this all works is, hey, that's great, Google, you're going to put us up there, but how do you drive awareness just of the marketplace? How are your customers going to know about what you're doing and what we're doing with you? So I'm going to give you a very quick tour, the last couple minutes of my talk here, about some of the tactics that we use to drive users and awareness of the marketplace and vendors in the marketplace. So first, inside our products. So for example, in the upper left and that universal navigation, you see find more services if you're an admin. That'll take you to the marketplace. If you go in as an admin and you look in your control panel and see Add More Services, you'll see a link to the marketplace there. So we're trying to drive awareness on the admin. Of course, admins aren't the always the people who are shopping for applications, but it's important to get on their radar. On our product site, so this is our google.com/apps site, and this is where we sign up the majority of those 3,000 businesses a day are actually coming through this site, learning about the products and making a decision to work with us. So we're gonna talk about our applications, clearly, and then we're now gonna be able to talk about your applications, the marketplace, because we've got this larger suite we can offer customers. Customer emails and webinars. Clearly, we do these things. These are humans who have to man sessions and man conference calls. We focus these, especially the webinars, around customer success stories. So telling the story of what you've done with the customer, with us, is really the key for us being able to get out there and tell specific stories about specific apps. We also use Adwords. We are big believers in search engine marketing. So, for example, in this case, we ran a campaign against the keywords Google Apps and CRM. We're going to run an ad that drives traffic to a category in the marketplace. In this case, it's the customer management category. So any vendors who are out there in that category or in that search term can get benefit from the advertising we're going to do around the marketplace. We do blog posts and tweets and all that good stuff. We've got a very nice YouTube channel. We'd love to have your high-quality video to share. On the homepage of the marketplace itself, we provide a list, the latest 2 customer success stories on the homepage itself. So again, we're really trying to make it easier for you to take the investment to create a customer success story and make it easy to distribute that to the users that you want to reach. And one of the ways we do that is show the latest 2 stories on the homepage. And last but not least, the press. So clearly the press, we talk to the press. Clearly they're interested in the things we're doing. They're interested in things you're doing. They're interested in things we're doing together. So working together in the marketplace from launch on is a great opportunity to engage the press and tell stories about how we're helping customers improve their business. Okay, so enough from me. I'd like to now invite up Amit, CEO of Manymoon, to tell you a bit about what they've been doing.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Amit.
Hello, my name is Amit Kulkarni, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Manymoon. And today I'd like to tell you a little bit about how we became one of the top installed applications in the Google Apps Marketplace. So very quickly, what is Manymoon? Manymoon is a social productivity tool that helps people get work done online with their connections. Whereas with a lot of other social sites, you're sharing things like photos and parties with your friends. With Manymoon, you're sharing things like tasks, so managing tasks, completing projects, sharing Google Docs, whatever you need to work on. It also has the social capabilities that people are used to nowadays, like profiles, status updates, and feeds. But what Manymoon has really built into it is the security and the utility that businesses and professionals require. So why did we decide to launch on the Google Apps Marketplace? Well, first and foremost, as Scott mentioned, it's a huge market, 25 million users and 2 million businesses. But what's really exciting is that it's a fast-growing market, over 3,000 businesses a day. So as a startup, we were really excited about attaching ourselves to a growing market. But most importantly, it's a qualified audience. So these are businesses and professionals who we know are willing to pay for SaaS applications. And it's a direct pay relationship. So they will pay you on a monthly or annual basis for a subscription. The other reason we decided to launch in the Google Apps Marketplace was, as a startup, we're always looking to keep our development costs low and do more with less. So as I go through the demo, you'll see a lot of features in Manymoon that typically would have taken us months to develop. We were able to get them done in just days or weeks by using various Google APIs. And what that really enables us to do by saving on development time is quicken up our release cycles, which means that we can get more releases out to customers and get more feedback and really iterate based on customer feedback. And as a startup, that's really our competitive advantage. So let me go into a demo and show you how Manymoon works. So this is a typical Google Apps user. Her name is Kate. And she works in a company, and her manager is saying that we have to move to a new office at the end of the month, and she'll turn to Manymoon to make this happen. With the contextual gadget that we just released yesterday, she can, of course, create a project right here within her Gmail, a Manymoon project. But for the purpose of this demo, what I'll do is actually go to manymoon.com and show you what the product can do with Google Apps. So first thing, within the Google Universal Navigation, with one click, she'll be brought right into the application. So one of the things we really try to do when we develop for Google Apps is reduce as much of the friction as possible between the user and them experiencing your application. So this helped tremendously with conversions. So now that she's in the application, she's got a variety of features available to her. She'll go into a workspace she's already created called New Office Move. And she is going to assign a task to someone that says select which office to move to. And again, to reduce friction, all she has to do is enter in someone's name. And using the Google Contacts API, we automatically find people from her address book, and she can assign the task to the person. Luckily, Kate's also been keeping track of a list of offices she's been viewing in a Google spreadsheet that she would like to attach here. So she'll go to List Google Docs. Manymoon will bring up a list of Google Docs here. So again, as an end user benefit, all of the documents and data that she already has in her Google Apps account, she can reuse within a third-party application. And all the data is still stored and managed by Google. So she's attached the Google spreadsheet. She'll say, we want to get this task done tomorrow. And that's it. By using the Google Doc List API, Manymoon automatically shared that Google spreadsheet with everyone in that workspace. And when people get kicked out of that workspace, Manymoon rescinds the data access as well. So after we released this feature, our baseline of daily visits increased by 300%, which is tremendous as a startup. Another feature we had customers shortly after that asking for was a graphical calendar-style view of everything in their project and workspaces. So things like open tasks, milestones, meetings, and whatnot. Again, this might have taken us months to build. We were able to do it in just a couple of weeks by using the Google Calendar APIs. So I go down to Project Calendar, which is in actuality just a Google Calendar that we've automatically shared with all workspace members and embedded right within Manymoon. So that task that I automatically created is already here. The target date for the project is here as well. So that's just a little bit about, I've shown you just a little bit of what Manymoon can do with Google Apps. And customers really love these integrations. Since the Marketplace launch about 2 months ago, we've been signing up on average over 1,000 new businesses every week, just through the Marketplace, which is great. But even better, a large number of these are actually converting to our premium editions of Manymoon. So that's Manymoon Pro and Manymoon Team. And they're businesses of all sizes that are upgrading. They're small businesses, large enterprises, universities, nonprofits, you name it. And what that dramatic increase in revenue really allows us is the ability to hire more engineers, which we're looking to do, and really execute on our vision, which is really to become the most popular get work done application online. So a couple tips that we learned along the way that I'd like to share with you on having a successful listing in the Google Apps Marketplace. First, it really starts with your listing page. So this is what people or domain administrators first see when they want to install your app. So Google gives you one screenshot to include in your listing page. We originally included a screenshot of our user homepage. The issue is that this same screenshot is used as thumbnails throughout the Marketplace. So what we found to be much more effective is to use our logo with stylized imagery about what our application can do, so that when people see that thumbnail, they can immediately understand what your app can do. Secondly is really organize your listing page. So Google gives you free reign over that. What we did is actually break it up into a few parts. The first part is benefits. So we very clearly define what are the end user benefits to the application. So we don't talk about features or any technical aspects, but we talk about ROI, dollars saved, hours saved, whatever. The second part is features, and this is a little bit more technical. We really try to fill this up with our Google Apps specific integrations. So how we integrate with Google Calendar, how we integrate with Google Docs, and different features. And finally, customer examples. Generally, the people who are coming to your listing page and interested in your app are domain administrators, and they really want to know that other customers have used and validated your application. So that leads me to the second tip. Because of the nature of the Marketplace and who's actually installing the app, generally is domain administrators or these business owners, they really want to know that other customers are using your app and have other customers validate your app for you. And the best way to do that, we found, is with case studies. And so we spend a lot of time talking to our customers and talking about what are the benefits of them using Manymoon and Google Apps. So one of the things is really getting a wide variety of case studies across all sorts of different industries and businesses. So we've got case studies for consultants, property managers, nonprofits, event planners. And that's important because when someone comes to a listing page, it's much more effective if they find out that a similar type of business is already using your application. They immediately relate to it. Secondly is account for a lead time. When we first started case studies, we thought it might take 1 or 2 days and 1 phone call. But generally, with these case studies, it might take a couple weeks or even up to a month just to go through the customer approval cycle. So really, it's important to have a good pipeline of customers who are willing to help you out with case studies. Secondly, use Google's format. In that URL below, Google's got a very nice format for case studies that you can use, and that includes 1 paragraph about the customer, 1 paragraph about your business, a problem statement, a solution statement, and then 1 or 2 paragraphs about the results and benefits of using Manymoon plus Google Apps. And so we use that as sort of our standard case study template now. Most importantly, we think, is selecting 1 key metric for your application and your customer's business to use in all of your case studies. So for us, as a social productivity tool, we really try to focus on how many emails we're saving either per user, per month, per project, per week, per whatever. And we try to include that metric in every case study and also include it in every customer quote where possible in every case study. And then finally, publish and market your case studies. So of course, in the URL below, Google's got a very easy-to-use web form where you can submit the case studies. We also post them on our own website. We blog about them, and we tweet about them. And also, you can even get out to different industry web pages and have customers talk about them. So those are just a couple of tips. I hope that helps, and I'll turn it over to Chuck at Sliderocket. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Chuck with Sliderocket, and I'm going to tell you about why we joined the marketplace and some of the benefits, and in doing so, also get to show you our application. So what we're focused on is reinventing presentations. And as you guys know, there's a lot of presentations made. There's over 500 million copies of PowerPoint out on the market. There's over 40 million presentations delivered a day. Who knows how many are delivered here at I/O today? And unfortunately, a lot of them are pretty bad. And they're bad for 2 reasons. One, sometimes they're just bullet points and they're really boring and you got to suffer through them. But the other side to them is putting them together is laborious. You probably recreate the same slides someone else has already created. You can't find slides you've already created. Once you need to distribute them, they're tough to distribute. It's tough to get people to collaborate on them. And you have no idea what people are doing with them. Are they opening them? Are they viewing them? And if you ever want to update them, it's very difficult to pull them back from websites or from emails that you've distributed. So what we focus on is reinventing that whole process. And we look at presentations as kind of a life cycle, where creation is just one step of it. The other step is collaborating, so inviting people from other organizations to build slides that might automatically flow into your presentation, having a way to manage those dynamically, so the content is actually updated dynamically from other data sources, and this is one of the most interesting things that we're doing with the marketplace. Abilities to share them publicly, securely, embed them on pages, and then get detailed analytics on what people are doing with those. Are your prospects opening them? Are they forwarding them around to other decision makers? And this is a perfect chance to jump out of our application and just kind of show you how this works really quick. So I'm now in kind of the Sliderocket editor. And if I wanted to create a presentation for Google I/O, what I'd do is just go into the Sliderocket slide library. I'd do a search for slides that were tagged Google, and I would drag and drop to assemble a presentation that might be relevant for this audience, for the message we're trying to convey. And it's very likely that other people in my organization, like my marketing manager, is keeping these up to date, so they're always live and dynamically updated and always represent kind of our best message. So I'll close the library here and jump back into play. So why we partnered with Google was their customers are our customers. I mean, it's rare you're going to find someone who's got 25 million users and 3,000 new businesses a day. And these customers buy Google for the same reason they buy Sliderocket. They believe online and in the cloud is faster, cheaper, quicker. And what we look at ourselves as an extension of the Google apps. So we focus, very deeply on the presentation area to provide an experience that is better than something they could get with packaged software. And in our initial integration, we focused on 4 areas. And Google opens up a lot of APIs, so you can do a lot of connections. But we focused on these 4 integrations for our first launch into the marketplace. First is, of course, a single sign-on, and I'll talk about that in the next slide. I think that's the most powerful thing for the marketplace, or one of the most powerful things. Single sign-on, it seems very simple, but it has a lot of ramifications in terms of user provisioning. Second is the ability to take content from Google, like Google presentations, and import it into Sliderocket. Third is dynamically updating content in Sliderocket, slides, tables, graphs from data that resides in Google Apps. And then, of course, using the Google Contact as a management for how you distribute to people in your organization, people in your university, sales, prospects, etc. So let's talk about what the marketplace has meant for us. This graph on your left here shows a huge spike in traffic we had as a result of the launch on the 9th. The graph on the right here isn't populated yet, but what I wanted to show you is a quick demo of how we connect to Google data to dynamically populate tables and charts. So if I click on this table and chart, now thanks to our marketplace integration, I can link to Google Spreadsheets here. In linking to Google Spreadsheets, it's recognizing who I am, and it's pulling up a list of all the Google Spreadsheets I have access to. What I want to talk about here is how we've seen an increase in the user growth as a result of our marketplace. I'm going to check this box, which is going to keep my graph dynamically updated. So every time the spreadsheet changes, the graph's going to change, and the information that I'm conveying is going to always be up to date. And then I'll shift into play mode here again. And what you see here is something really phenomenal. After our marketplace launch, and again, thanks to the single sign-on and provisioning, it used to be that when someone would come to our website, it'd be one user at a company, and they'd sign up for a trial, and they'd kick the tires on Sliderocket. And if they liked it, they'd tell some other people in their organization. But with that Add It button, which Scott showed you, they can add it for every single user in their organization. So we saw the number of people in our trials go up 500%. And that gives us a chance not just to engage with one person in the organization who wants to try out Sliderocket, but it gives us a vehicle to speak to all of the users in that organization and greatly increases the likelihood of a conversion and an adopted customer. So that was a huge benefit to the marketplace for us. A second big benefit, and Scott and Amit spoke about this briefly, is Google has a lot of marketing might. And what we see is they're putting a lot of energy and a lot of people and resources behind their enterprise division and behind the marketplace. And that by partnering with them, there's a lot of different marketing opportunities that you can take advantage of to increase the size and the awareness of your company. And this is just a quick summary of the 5 things we thought were most importantly. One is your marketplace listing. Folks spoke about that already. 2 is there's a YouTube channel focused a lot on the marketplace and enterprise use cases. So you can create case studies. You can create how-to videos on how your product works with Google Apps. And you can syndicate that out on Google's YouTube channel. And that's going to bring a lot of viewership and awareness to your application. 2 is the social, of course. There's people, could be tweeting here right now associating Sliderocket with Google, and that brings a lot of followers back to our site. So again, a very powerful. PR. Google sneezes, TechCrunch has taken over about Google sneeze. So Google has an unbelievable amount of awareness in the press. And as an example here, we put together a press release on our Google announcement. So we're looking into Sliderocket again here, and we sent this press release, which was a presentation, out to 200 reporters. We don't typically get this sort of following with our press releases, but these 200 reporters forwarded it to 1,200 other folks, and we can see where they're opening it, where they're spending their time. So it just goes to show that when you associate your company with Google, you get a lot more awareness than you might on your own. And then, of course, customer case studies. So building these case studies, Google is looking for enterprise customer case studies to promote. You can find customers that use your product in conjunction with Google and feed those up to Google, and they can put them on their blogs and start syndicating that and, again, building awareness for you. So quick summary, 4 points here. One is build it quickly. Google invited us to be a launch partner. It took 2 of our developers 1 weekend to build what you saw here. So if you're thinking about joining the marketplace, I'd encourage you just to stop thinking about it and just get in there and try it. 2 is it extends the functionality of your application. So we didn't want to build a spreadsheet tool to populate tables and charts. We didn't want to build a contact management. We didn't want to build calendar things. So you can actually increase the scope and the features and functionality of your product by taking advantage of these marketplace API integrations. 3 is the marketing cache that Google offers, which we spoke about already. And then 4th is, you guys might know, Google has a lighter weight presentation online authoring tool. Google's been extremely supportive of our kind of more robust system, which looks beyond authoring around the whole life cycle. So if you have a little bit of overlap with any Google functionality, I would not let that discourage you from building. They've been a great partner, and we look forward to continued success with the marketplace. So with that, I'll hand it over to Jay.
Thanks, Chuck. I feel like a sprinter at the end of a relay. And they probably put me last because I'm the fastest talker. My name's Jay. I'm from Atlassian. Atlassian is a maker of software development and collaboration tools. We're an Australian company with people scattered around Sydney, San Francisco, and Amsterdam in Europe. We have a portfolio of 8 products. Our flagship products include, hopefully a couple that you've heard of, Jira, which is a popular issue in Bug Tracker, and Confluence, which is a popular wiki. We also have a collection of developer tools that really focus on code collaboration around source, code reviews, continuous integration, code coverage and quality, with about 17,000 customers worldwide. Our fastest growing product is a product called Jira Studio, which combines our entire portfolio into a hosted development suite for not just developers, but the people that are part of a technical team building software together. And we saw the Google Apps Marketplace as a great opportunity to provide a complement to Google's messaging and collaboration tools to developers of Google Apps customers. And certainly there's a lot of those. So in the middle, we describe the capabilities that Jira Studio offers: hosted subversion for source control, bug tracking, code browsing, a wiki, agile planning, continuous integration, and code reviews. We saw that as a great complement to the messaging and collaboration tools in Google Apps. So let me click over and give you a quick demonstration of some of the integration that we've built. We're going to actually start our demo in Gmail because a lot of us, whether we like it or not, spend a lot of time cleaning out our inboxes. I'm logged in here as a tech lead, and a tech lead might spend a little bit less time than most of us in email, but still he or she might start their day cleaning out the inbox. To the left of the Gmail inbox is a gadget that's actually showing issues from Jira Studio that are assigned to me as a tech lead. So I see at the bottom here, one of the issues is a truly incredible feature that the development team is going to work on together. At the heart of Jira Studio sits Jira, because a lot of development tasks are built around issues or bugs that we're trying to fix. Rather than click on that issue, which I could do, from Google's universal navigation, I want to select Jira Studio and actually take you to the front page of Jira Studio, just to give you a quick snapshot of what's in the box. Across the top, you sort of see the key components of Jira Studio. This is the front of Jira Studio, which is a dashboard. Technology behind the dashboard is gadgets, and it's the same gadget technology that Google Gadgets is using. So as you saw on the previous screen, gadgets from Jira Studio can be added to Google applications like Gmail or GCal or Google Sites. Conversely, Google Gadgets can be added to my Studio dashboard, like the gadget here, Google Translate. Dashboard sort of gives me a snapshot of information across my project from other developers or members of the technical team. So I have an activity stream. This is the gadget that we saw on the previous screen with issues that are assigned to me. I can see statistics around source code, activity in the source code repository, change sets, open peer reviews, etc. Again, because most of the development happens around issues, I actually want to click on the issue that I mentioned earlier, this truly incredible feature. And I see that development's actually waiting for the design specification. So one of the integration points that Jira Studio has with Google Apps, we've integrated with the Google Docs API, similar to Manymoon. In this case, the design specification has been collaborated on with the technical team or product management, and it's a Google Doc. Really quickly, I can assemble a list of docs, select the one that I want to attach to the issue, and then development can begin. Down at the bottom, we see what we refer to as the Jira Studio activity bar. And it's another key integration point between Jira Studio and Google Apps that really sort of fuses the two systems together. So on the left, we provide to users of Jira Studio kind of fingertip access to information across all the tools that are comprised between Jira Studio and Google Apps. So I can see, as an example, open code reviews that are assigned to this user, the tech lead. I get a snapshot of email from Gmail. I can see if there's any important messages that I want to click into directly, as opposed to having to switch context entirely to go to Gmail. I can also see access to my calendar and Google Sites. Another feature that we felt we wanted to take advantage of was integrating Google Talk. And Google Talk really gave us the ability to add instant messaging almost as a native feature of Jira Studio itself. So chat and instant messaging is a core way that developers interact with another. Now it's pervasive across the entire hosted development suite. So here, quickly on this issue page, I can send a message to another developer and say, design spec is attached, and even include a hyperlink to the page so they can quickly see that it's there. I can then, if I wanted to, go to Google Calendar and maybe add a 3 p.m. design spec review meeting with Dan, again, without ever leaving Jira Studio. So that's kind of a quick glimpse of a very small number of features that we integrated with Google Apps. How's it gone for us? Really, really well. Since launch, we've seen a 30% increase in sales of Jira Studio. Oops. Wrong screen. And we've also doubled the amount of traffic that we're driving to Jira Studio's homepage on our website. So far, so good. Here's a couple of tips that I'll end with. Similar to what Amit said for Manymoon, in addition to really focusing on the listing page, which you need to really represent your product in the marketplace, you have to think very carefully about the landing page on your own website. We're driving a lot of interest in the integration between Jira Studio and Google Apps from within our network. And we also have to think carefully about the handoff between the listing page, which has kind of a snapshot of information, and the broader web page that might describe the feature set in your products. In our landing page, we've also added the Add to Google Domain button, so it feels like there's an opportunity to quickly trial the product from wherever you land. The final tip for me is also just about thinking carefully how to engage the broader set of users. Reviews are an important part of helping other evaluators in the marketplace understand whether your product is successful or popular or liked by users. And rather than just engage the administrator or the evaluator, we also wanted to think about how to engage potentially the dozens of developers that are using our products. We wanted to think very carefully about this, but basically after 10 hours of usage, we have a subtle little dialog box that'll pop up and say, you seem to be liking Jira Studio. If you do like it, we'd love for you to pay it forward or share the joy on the Google Marketplace. And anytime you can dismiss this forever. It's just a one-time sort of subtle request for support. With that, that's us from Atlassian, and I'll hand it back over to Scott, I think, for Q&A.
Thanks, guys. Awesome. And your bank account should be a little bit bigger now, so thank you for those endorsements. Just kidding.
What was that?
Okay, so we'll see if we can get some love from moderator here inside of Wave. Let's see here. These are notes. How much time we have? Got about 15 minutes. So I admit to being a little bit of a newbie with moderator in Wave. So why don't we, unless someone has a good, I just passed it? Loading. So while we're loading, if anyone wants to shout out a question, comment, why don't we just go live old style? Anyone have any questions for the folks up here or myself on what you've heard? Go ahead.
Yeah, hello, I have one. Thank you very much for your presentation. My first question actually is regarding the security. So right now, Google, when you buy Google app, commit that they secure the data. What about you guys? Do you secure our data the same way that Google does?
Yeah, so we have a page where we talk about our security practices, but what's really important is the way we integrate with Google Apps is all of your Google data is still stored and managed by Google, so that security is still maintained with them. So the credentials that you use to log into Manymoon are actually stored and managed by Google. We don't have access to them. Same with your Google Docs, same with your Google Calendar. So that's one of the benefits of being on the marketplace is you take advantage of Google's security practices.
Okay, thanks.
I would just follow up that any cloud provider, any application provider out there certainly has this question from customers and challenge, and so it's it's part of the DNA of a software as a service company to treat the data right, keep it secure.
Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Does it provide the service for free or at least a trial base that the user doesn't have to pay at the beginning? I mean, how does that work with the 20%?
So in general, you as a vendor get to choose whatever business model, trial model, et cetera you want. We, as Google, only share revenue when you have a customer who converts to a paying account. So if they're a freemium product and they take a year to convert, then there's nothing between us until they actually start paying.
And do you provide the whole payment, or when can I decide to make the pay and they go to Google account, or how does it work?
So two parts to the answer. Today, it's actually, you have full control of it as if you were selling directly. When we introduce our payment options and our payment APIs and flow, then you will have a choice to figure out, yes, if you want to take payment up front, if you want to engage in a trial, you'll get to essentially create those payment events, and you use the billing API to basically power the checkout and payment process when that event occurs.
So sorry, last one. So today, when they pay, do they give the credit card to me or to you?
Today, because we're kind of in a post-launch state where we don't have the full payment infrastructure set and live, they actually pay you.
And then you trust me to give you the 20%?
No, we're in a rev share free mode right now. So basically everything that you sell between now and when we launch our payment system is yours to keep. Yeah.
Hi there. One of the questions I had was, I've seen the Google Mail contextual gadgets, but I'm interested in sort of the interest there is on the part of the Google Apps team to open up the interface of the apps themselves for tighter integration. So for example, adding menus and things like that inside of Google Docs or the spreadsheet app or whatever else. Is that in the plans? Are you guys thinking about it? Is that something?
It's a great idea. We want to hear those kind of requests. We definitely get, for example, I think Chuck, your team asked us, hey, we'd love to get a menu in your Google Docs. Can we make that happen? So we're definitely customer driven. So the more you request that, the more you help us figure out what the value is for you, the better it is for us to figure that out in terms of roadmap.
Cool. Thanks.
Soon. We've got some of the Docs PMs in the audience, so.
And you can do it using AppScript today, at least in the spreadsheet. So that's a good example of what
You can do it today with AppScript in spreadsheets. So, awesome. Go ahead.
Does Google have any policy where they vet the people who are coming to the marketplace, or is it just a self-checking ecosystem where customers feedback, or do you review what processes is the security policies, for example, the gentleman's previous concern? Do you check how the security is enforced on the vendors who are coming in, or do you have some sort of
Sure. So the question is, how do we vet the listings and the new apps that come in, and especially around security? So we have a lightweight screening process to actually list in the marketplace. It's not based on a security review. It's based on you following the fairly transparent and simple steps of meeting the requirements. And it's definitely up to you to, again, to protect your users' data just as you do normally. We do really try to make it transparent to the buyer both before they're buying. In the listing, we list all the different APIs you're going to want access to, and of course, during that checkout process, when the admin goes to make that grant, you can't get access to things that you haven't asked for and explicitly told the user about.
Do you have a mechanism so that I'm a user of enterprise? I see something I like, I can click a button and send a request to whoever it is, my administrator, who already knows.
That's a great question. So the question is, if you're not an admin and you're in the marketplace and you find something you like, how do you let your administrator know? That's on our list of things. We definitely want to make that easier. Any more questions for these guys? Go ahead, at the mic.
I was wondering whether you support usage-based payments. Not every business model works on a flat fee per month. So do you have any plans to introduce that in the future with your payment system?
Is it user-based pricing?
Yeah. Well, actually, I was thinking about usage-based. Say, take a phone service. You may rack up a different phone bill every month. Will you have a solution for that?
So we definitely plan to accommodate that. We spent a lot of time, looking at the diverse models that our 50 launch partners, plus all the folks who've come since then. How are they charging their customers, user, usage, time, et cetera. It's a challenge to accommodate all those, but our goal is definitely to accommodate all the different pricing models that you want to use as a vendor. And so details, TBD in terms of how the API is going to make that happen, but the answer is yes, we're looking at that.
I have a question for the providers. So do you see your value as providing more of the workflow through for a specific customer set that kind of water bugs on top of the data API? Or is it more about specializing in the actual data? I guess you're not really holding the data, you're pocketing it in the Google infrastructure.
It might vary for the different applications. For us as Sliderocket, it's twofold. It's one, people live in Gmail. Google Apps users live in Gmail. And if we can make our app discoverable with a single click from Gmail, it increases the adoption. So one is adoption. Two is, as I mentioned, is we look at Google as having a great suite of functionality that we didn't want to have to build ourselves. So through the marketplace, we were able to integrate and extend the functionality of our application, such as the spreadsheets I mentioned, how we could link it dynamically to graphs and table. And we look forward to doing that things with like Google Buzz feeds into presentations. So two main reasons for us. I'm not sure if you guys have.
Well, I mean, we offer tools that Google doesn't offer, and as I mentioned, I mean, there are developers inside of companies using Google Apps, and we think that the experience of having their development tools connected to the messaging collaboration tools that they're using for Google is a better one for them, and it's going to save them time.
So are they comfortable then with like coming back and modifying spreadsheets that your application may have created or set permissions on, then to kind of go out and see those kind of behind the scenes in the spreadsheet and then see the implementation as it's viewed through your app?
Yeah, that's correct. So as people with the right permissions as designated by Google Spreadsheets modify those spreadsheets, or those spreadsheets are modified from data feeds that user might have connected to Google Spreadsheets, that automatically feeds the visual representation of that spreadsheet in Sliderocket.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Hi, I guess this is a question for Scott. I think you mentioned that Google Checkout will become required once you're out of the revenue-free phase. How does that work then with our payment gateways that we have set up currently? Will we have to keep those for our other customers and then go with Google Checkout only for Google Marketplace users?
So yes, the payment flow that you've got today, and maybe with some other payment processor, you'll need to hook in essentially your pricing engine and the kind of the checkout step with our APIs.
For all users, even those that come through the open marketplace, not yours.
You can definitely have both flows, but for our users who come in and they, for example, they have a checkout account, they may purchase other apps marketplace apps. They've got kind of a nice single invoice, bill every month or every year. They're going to want to use those credentials to purchase your app, and you can definitely, obviously, maintain your other flows as well. Great.
Hi. Are you considering in the payment when you sell not one time, but as a service, perhaps a monthly service? Are you considering it in the payment in the marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely. We assume that almost everyone is using some sort of recurring billing, whether it's monthly or based on usage that you have to fill back up. So it's definitely in the DNA of most of the companies like us. It's an annual subscription for our products. So is the question, are we considering it for, do we share revenue during that?
Yeah, and how?
Yeah, it's a recurring.
Share,
it's for the lifetime of the customer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a one-time fee.
Thank
you. All right, I guess this question is for Manymoon.
I think last question here. Thank you.
Oh, can I ask it?
Absolutely, please.
Yeah.
Sorry.
For Manymoon, I think like the projects that your customers, that this 25 million users can start Manymoon, is the collaborators, are those only inside the 25 million? Or, because projects often exist across enterprise boundaries.
Yeah, so one of the benefits of being a SaaS application is it can work outside of the firewall as well. So Manymoon as an application, it was built from the ground up to support the internet, so email addresses. So you can invite anyone into any project or workspace as long as you have their email address. But because we integrate with that Google Contacts API, is all those contacts you have already, whether they're inside of your domain or outside, you can start collaborating with them.
All right. Great, thanks. All right, well, I want to thank Jay and Chuck and Amit for joining me today, and thank you all for attending the session. Thanks.